In 2023, Jake Ferguson quietly became one of the more dynamic tight ends in the entire NFL.
Who said that can't jump?
White man can't jump.
Don't do that.
Black though. Ferg mix.
He got a little seasoning for sure.
He got a little seasoning in him.
For sure. Hey, he got a little bit of that. It's a little,
But in 2024, it was a tough season. Injuries, a dip in production, and inconsistent usage all played a part in what turned out to be a disappointing season. But I say don't write him off just yet. Here are 3 big reasons why Jake Ferguson is primed for a bounce back campaign in 2025. And it starts right off the bat with one of his biggest strengths, the seam shot. Defenses are going to be shifting to a more too high shell to respect the addition of one George Pickens, who happens to be one of the league's most dangerous vertical threats, lined up opposite of CeeDee Lamb. So that's going to open up the middle of the field for one of the best seam gods in the NFL, Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson. Now, we didn't see this connection a whole lot in 2024, but it wasn't due to the lack of confidence because, as you can see right here, they didn't give a damn to start the season. Dak fires this thing down the seam and Ferguson goes up to snatch it where only he can make the play. Now, if you run this thing back just a little bit more, this is a situation where they try to disguise the coverage by showing what looks like a middle of the field close with the tight end or with the safety here in Hamilton. But at the snap, he's going to play his half. We're going to get this safety drop back here. And Dak's going to say, oh, okay, so this middle of the field is open. We're going to attack that middle, even though the linebacker is going to drop back here in what is a Tampa 2 look. But what makes this play so deadly for Dak and Jake Ferguson is the confidence they have in each other to execute this thing. If Dak throws this over just a little bit, Hamilton's there for the interception. If he underthrows it, it's incomplete. So he has to put it on the money, the back shoulder, where Ferg can go up and snag this for what has become one of their go-to plays. I expect to see a lot more of this in 2025, and that's something that Jake Ferguson talked about.
You know, that's been going back for, since I got here. I love the seam ball. He loves throwing it, but we've been repping that, daily, routes on air, stuff like that. That's been a connection that's been building continuously. You guys just saw a piece of it today.
One of the most underrated parts of Jake Ferguson's game is his route running, his ability to read coverages, and for whatever reason, his yak ability is still slept on. Now, maybe it's because Ferguson doesn't grade out as some uber athletic tight end on paper, but on the field, he's consistently one of the best tight ends after the catch and in contested situations. And on this play, we see some of exactly what Brian Schottenheimer talks about in his offensive philosophy: condensed splits, shifts, motions, things designed to manipulate the defenses before the ball is even snapped. And at this point in the season, Ferguson was actually leading all tight ends in receiving yards on plays where he was motioned or shifted before the snap. Now, right here, they're working what's called a snag concept on a switch release at the line of scrimmage. Ferguson's going to show great patience off the snap, and he's going to work the out route. Tolbert's going to cross inside, running a hitch to settle in the soft spot underneath, while CeeDee Lamb presses vertically before breaking to the corner. Now, the switch release at the snap is going to trip up the coverage. Tolbert's going to draw these 2 defenders right here, while CeeDee Lamb is going to draw these 2 defenders deep. And of course, as you can see, that's going to leave Jake Ferguson wide the hell open underneath for essentially a pitch and catch for Jake Ferguson to then use that superpower ability to get some yak up the field. Now, you can run this concept out of a ton of different looks, but I fully expect Schottenheimer to lean on these bunch or condensed formations even more because it's going to create these exact kind of opportunities. Let me run this back real quick and give a shout out to our guy CeeDee Lamb, who's going to get 2 blocks on one play. 1, 2. You got to love that type of effort for the Cowboys. Now let's stay with the same theme here with the switch releases at the line of scrimmage, but using it to take advantage of the defense. Now at the snap, Ferguson again is going to show patience. He's going to take a lateral step outside, then he's going to snap back inside for a slant. Meanwhile, Tolbert's going to give an inside release, but he's actually working back towards the numbers to clear out space and create a window behind the linebackers. This is a high-level executed play, I think, by Ferguson and Tolbert. Now watch at the break point where they essentially stack, right here. Okay, these guys are stacked. And what I mean by stacked, their rate, one is rate below the other. And you can see what it does to a veteran linebacker like a Levante David. He's going to haul ass expecting an outside release by Ferguson, right? Except Ferguson is going to plant, fire back inside, use the swim move so he's not held, make himself available, and then boom, we're going to show off that catch radius, secure the catch, and get upfield for some yak. This is another instance where you look at the defense, they're going to try to manipulate the coverage once again, pre-snap, post-snap, but it doesn't work in their favor because they're going to play a bunch of man coverage across the board. You get the too high shell. Once again, we're talking about George Pickens being here, right? So when you get George Pickens here, these guys have no choice but to play this type of too high shell, and we're going to get man across the board, ladies and gentlemen. And when we got man across the board and you got one-on-one with Jake Ferguson, he's going to tear up a lot of these linebackers in coverage, as he does right here. Hell, I've seen Jake Ferguson put Fred Warner on skates. Now, here's another perfect example where Dallas goes right back to those condensed splits and lets Ferguson go to work after the catch. But the wrinkle, this time it's motion at the snap paired with post-snap run action. Right out the shoddy playbook. Stress the defense before and after the snap. Dallas is going to show run action. Sky, what do you mean by run action? So at the snap, they're going to have these guys down block the linemen, and it's going to look like it is a run. And right behind that, Ferg is going to show what would be a wham block, right? But then he's going to slip out into the flat and get the rock and get upfield. But watch what this does to the linebackers at the second level right here. Take a look. We're going to get these backers biting down on this run action. That's why I always say you don't need to be a great running team to get these backers to do what they are trained instinctively to do, and that's defend the run. So we get the run action, the linebackers bite down, that creates this leverage. It's also going to create a levels read for Dak Prescott. He can go short, he can go intermediate or deep. He's going to hit Jake Ferguson underneath, and we're going to let Jake Ferguson do the rest and show off again that yak ability. Against these are the type of plays that don't just show off Ferg's hands or toughness. We know he's a tough player. They show just how valuable he can be in a Schottenheimer offense, especially one where he's set up with motion, leverage, and space. But here's where things got frustrating with his usage in 2024, the red zone. In 2023, Ferguson was deadly inside the 20. Among all tight ends, he finished third in red zone touchdowns, first in red zone yards, and first in red zone targets with 24. But in 2024, it was a completely different story. He didn't score a single touchdown all season and only saw 5 red zone targets. For a guy with proven red zone production, that's arguably one of the biggest missteps in how the Cowboys used him last year. But here's the thing. If Dallas can get back to leaning into Ferguson's superpowers, he absolutely is primed for a bounce back season. With George Pickens now in the mix, teams will have to honor more than just CD Lamb out wide. They'll have to spread their attention across the field, which means more favorable matchups for Ferguson underneath and up the seam. And as Ferguson himself put it best, you can't cover everybody.
I mean, you can't cover everybody. So, I mean, having him 88 and then Jalen, some of the young guys, myself, Brevin, Scooney, you physically cannot cover everybody.